Hello again. This is Gail Cameron from My Pocket Coach, and this is our series of leadership lessons. And with us today, we have an incredible leader that I've known for a long time, Naidoo. Welcome to our program today. I've known you for many years at PwC. I think at one point I even coached you and some members of your team. And then I was absolutely astonished when I heard that you had left PwC. So tell us a little bit about this incredible journey.
Hi, Gail. Good to see you, as always. And thanks for all your help all those years ago. I definitely took a lot of learnings from our sessions and our interactions over the years. I think, for me to talk about just the change of leaving PwC, PwC was home, 18 years and 4 months, 11 years as a partner. It's the only job I ever had. To make that switch was not an easy one. And when the opportunity to leave came about, I guess I thought to myself, I'm way too comfortable to leave. And so having slept on that concept, I realized that in itself was the problem statement, was way too comfortable. And given that, I pride myself on, doing different things every day, for challenging myself, I found that I was at some point just lulled into this comfort zone of familiarity. And it wasn't the way I was going to spend the next 20 years of my career. And with that at the back of my mind and knowing the company that I joined very well, knowing the people, knowing the culture, it was somewhat of a de-risk move. And let's say the healthcare sector is definitely a sunrise sector. It was definitely something that piqued my interest. And a few glasses of wine later, a very sober decision was made. And here I am, CFO of the Southern African business of Life Healthcare.
Wow, that's amazing. And tell us a little bit about the healthcare industry, especially considering the year that we've had.
Yeah, talk about a perfect storm, right? You want to join a new sector. You want to have your interest piqued. You want to learn. But a pandemic brings all of that in a tsunami way into your life. I think that's definitely something I didn't anticipate. And it happened 3 months after I joined. So I was literally getting my legs in under the table, figuring out which coffee cup was mine, and I had a pandemic to deal with, and that's significant disruption. So it's been very interesting. The good thing that for me, one of the great things about our sector is the patient remains at the center of what we do. I'm just the finance guy. I call myself just the finance guy. I'm not on the front line. I think from a frontline perspective, we have amazing people. Our nurses, our clinicians, our porters, our admin staff, our reception people at the front line dealing with the disruption of this COVID pandemic. It's just been absolutely awe-inspiring to see them go through what they go through and wake up every morning and go to their shift and man the stations, treat our patients. It's not a single person has ever thrown their hands up and said, I give up. And we've had, sadly, some deaths in our frontline workers. We've had over 3,000 infected frontline workers. So they're the real heroes. And just to be part of this sector and to be part of a healthcare be a healthcare provider, just to do my little bit in the background and keep the company steady and keep the banks happy, keep ourselves afloat. It's just my little part to make sure that we deliver what's right for society. So it's been an absolutely proud delivery by my team, by our organization, and I would like to think that we've played a huge part in our country's response to this pandemic. It's been absolutely,
to laud the praises of our healthcare professionals, because they have been so incredible. And, what is the feeling as we now going into the second spike, which is quite scary? What is your feeling about that now?
Well, I think we're better prepared in terms of, I think from a clinical perspective, the clinicians know a lot more now than they did the first time around. And that's with regards to treatment protocols, how to plan for the pandemic from an operational perspective. This is highly disruptive to a hospital. Isolation type treating of patients is very disruptive to a common hospital. If you've been to a hospital during the pandemic, you'll see that you don't just walk in the front door anymore. You've now got to go through a screening area. So the additional operational nuances of running a hospital in a COVID environment, we're better prepared. We've established those protocols. If you just take PPE, for example, sourcing the right types of PPE in the quantities required. We've made the hard lessons. We've learned. We've now found where to get, how we've integrated back to factory floor. So those are just practical things. But as a sector, I think we're much better prepared the second time around.
Well, we're most grateful to hear that, again, that you are well prepared, in your healthcare sector. I also wanted to ask you, how have you built confidence or resilience over the course of your career?
So I think confidence for me over the years has always come from exposure, experiences, and good old hard work. I'm a kid from a township. Grew up in a blue collar environment, the first in my family to go to university. So I don't come from an academic background. I don't come from a white collar environment. My dad worked in a bakery, my mom worked in a clothing factory. So those are things that instill in you a hard work ethic that you take with you. You experience it, you grow up in it, you take it with you wherever you go. But for me, the exposure that being able to go to a great university like Wits, being able to work overseas, being able to go through 10 passports in my 18 years and 4 months at PwC. Wow. That's exposure and life's lessons that absolutely gives you the ability to put things into context, to understand the global dynamic, to understand different people. I've met hundreds and thousands of people over the years, worked with different companies, and all of that leads to confidence. All of that leads for you to be able to hold a conversation. And that's what it is at the end of the day. It's not more degrees or more academic qualifications. It's about taking that ability to navigate, the ability to think your way through things. That gives you confidence. And confidence is, it's something that I didn't grow up with. I mean, I was a pretty shy kid all through university. And it's really that exposure that sort of brought me out of my shell. So for me, it's really exposure and experience. That's what's given me the confidence that I have. In terms of resilience, resilience is something you learn through exposure as well, because you learn this ability, or you teach yourself this ability to be able to see what is the real issue. When you start seeing the wood from the trees, when you start being able to be agile, adaptable, that gives you resilience, and that's stuff you learn. So I always call it time in the saddle. The more time you have in the saddle, the more you experience, the more resilient you become, the more confident you become, the better leader you become. So the one thing I've always challenged myself is, always behold true to my everyday, after you have a cup of coffee, is challenge. Be curious. Always. The moment you stop being challenging, you stop being curious, then you've semi-retired in your mind.
That's so true. And I've experienced actually so many of those qualities in your team over the years, that you've inspired that in them, and it's been really beautiful to witness. Describe a difficult time when you almost gave up, and what did you do to stay motivated?
Gail, this is going to sound really, really, really odd, but I don't think there's ever been a time where I've gotten to the point where I said I'm almost giving up. And that comes from a place that I'm a little bit of a control freak. And I don't like being out of control. As much as I like to be curious and try new things, I don't like being totally out of control. So for me, it's always been a case of when that hopelessness or that feeling, or that pitted, lost feeling ever set in, I always used it as a motivator. Because I don't ever want to be not in control. I don't ever want to be, at a loss. In some way. So for me, it may sound very obtuse, and apologies for sounding obtuse, but for me, it's a motivator. I've always turned it around. And inherently, I am a fixer. when I see a problem, I want to roll my sleeves up and I want to fix. So I don't ever want to look at something and I give up. There's never I don't think there's anything in my personal or professional life where I don't want to try and fix or intervene or something. And my wife always tells me that I take on too much, and but I just can't stand by. Maybe someday I will, but then I guess that's the day I start playing golf professionally.
So, post 2020, what leadership values do you think are important for next year?
I think empathy. We talk about empathy a lot, and it's a construct that's well established in leadership. It is a construct that has, I guess back in the 70s it was a swear word, but as the world evolved, leadership styles evolved, and I mean you've taught me this over the years. I think that very important with empathy is being able to step back and see the bigger social constructs of the world we live in. And I think nothing like the pandemic and the experiences of 2020 to have taught us how important that empathy and bigger picture thinking really is. So, profits, stakeholder returns, very important stuff. That keeps the world going, keeps you and me employed. That's fine. But I think it's more important that you've got to understand social constructs when you're deciding on what is the right thing to do. And we had to make, my real life experience of that as a CFO of a multidisciplined team across many parts of Southern Africa. We didn't fire a single people or furlough anyone during this pandemic.
Wow.
And it had to take some very creative, non-linear, logical, financial thinking to get to that understanding. So, I think it's the concept of empathy, it needs to be, and it's not something you can really teach. It's something that you've got to pick up through experience, and you've got to pick up through your view of the world. And I think a lot of companies would do well to look at what they really stand for post COVID-21 or COVID-19, hopefully not COVID-21, but post COVID-19. A lot of companies should think about their social constructs and the way in which they look at the world. I know we have, and we currently are, and you'll see that in the press in the coming months.
That's so important, Megan. And, the new research is showing us that when a leader is empathetic, it lights up the ventral striatum part of the brain, which is the pleasure-seeking areas, which makes the person who's being empathetic feel good about themselves. So, it's a double bonus. So how do you foster motivation in your team in a world that seems to be increasingly gravitating towards silo mentality and work environments?
So I think particular to the healthcare sector, the patient remains the center of our world. Everything we do, everything we action has the patient as the holy center. And in our sector, there's an inherent good in our purpose. Healthcare has an inherent good as a purpose. And what I've done with the teams is always bring back everything we do, because we're literally the back office. I mean, finance is kind of the back office, right? And we take the back office, and you kind of always say to your teams, no matter what we do, just remember the patient is the purpose. And if the patient is the purpose, and our motto is making life better, then very quickly the silo mentality and the pulling in different directions starts to drop, because you can't argue against that. It's like arguing against motherhood and apple pie. You just can't argue against the patient good. And if you give clear direction and you're, as a leader, unequivocal that you will not tolerate silo mentality and the sole purpose of our existence is the patient and making life better, there's no room for counter argument, or there's no logical place for any counter argument. So you sort of almost take the air out of that space of the argument, and there is nothing to give life to there. And very importantly for me is, leaders, their actions and their behaviors must live out what I've just said. So if I'm always living that out in everything I say and do, then that's how I see myself motivating my teams. And I must say, maybe it's also just a pandemic, the inherent good in people comes out very quickly when there's need, and there's need amongst humanity. So I've seen that, it really wasn't that difficult, but you have to be very clear in what you want and what you hold at the center of everything we do. And, you might sit back and go, but how do you do that in a finance function? Again, it's back to what is the purpose of our company. And our purpose of our company is holding patient at center, making life better. So it actually wasn't that difficult, but it did require conscious effort to get our people motivated and moving in the right direction.
So interesting. When I interviewed Suresh Khanna in the same leadership series, part of the work he does is with the UN World Food Program. He's the chairman of the audit committee, and they've just won the Nobel Peace Prize, which is absolutely incredible. And when I asked him about the silo mentality, he said, well, actually, at board level, they seem to have moved closer together, not further apart, it's wonderful to know that. So how do you measure success?
Over the years, I guess success means very different things to very different people. Success also, varies in context to situation, where you are in your career, what sector you work in, and what position you hold, and all of that. And success it's a very peculiar thing. But for me, over the years, and perhaps I can speak in a privileged moment because I've been down 20 odd years of a career. I'm sort of midpoint of my working life. And for me, success is making a difference. It's about doing the right thing. When I was younger, I would have probably told you it was about passing my board exam, getting my salary increases, delivering on the promise of becoming a chartered accountant, and. But that's changed over time. And where I am right now, it's really about doing the right thing. And especially for me, it's more important is success is doing the right thing when no one's looking, and being satisfied that you've just done the right thing, and you have that it's that warm, fuzzy internal feeling, that feeling of I'm happy with how today played out. And it's about going to bed with a clear conscience, going to bed with that happy, fat heart. Sorry, my clinicians will tell me you don't use words like fat heart. But it's going to bed with that feeling of satisfaction. That for me, today was a successful day. And it may not be because you put another 100 million rand in profit away, but it will be because you made a difference. You made a difference in people. You made a difference in your sector. You made a difference in society. And in healthcare, and not just to denigrate any other sector, I think everyone has a place and space. But in healthcare, it becomes a very tangible, rewarding thing. So it's that happy heart at the end of every day.
Lovely. So who is your favorite leader and why?
So again, I would be reticent to say there's one particular leader that I would say is my favorite leader. Being coached by some amazing partners like Suresh over the years, and Suresh was my admitting partner many years ago when I became a partner at PwC. I was very, 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 very fortunate to call him a mentor. Yes. And to learn from him. One of the things I learned very early was you'll meet lots of great people and you'll be influenced by lots of great leaders. But more importantly is, what is your leadership style? And to that end, what are the goods and the bads that you see in these people you get coached, mentored, and get exposed to, that you then pull into making your own style? Because life's too short to not have your own style. And for me, there's attributes in leaders that I've identified with and that I've pulled across to me and said, those are the things I want. And likewise, it could very well be in the very same leader, I could have seen something that I didn't like, and I would try and steer away from having that attribute. So if you talk of leaders like Nelson Mandela, just his ability and his compassion, his humanity, that is something that even if I had 1/10 of that in me, I would have had a happy life. You take people like Mother Teresa and just her ability and her compassion and the caring that she shows for fellow human beings. When I was a youngster, Mother Teresa was totally relevant. But as I found as I got older, that's a sort of leadership style. That's a sort of empathy that I strive for. And I wish I hope I even get 1/10 of that. And then you take someone like Elon Musk. And I know it's very difficult to use Mother Teresa and Elon Musk in the same breath. If you take someone like Elon Musk, just that pure drive, ambition, and that I don't care, but I'm going to do this attitude. is something that you can stand back, and I know a lot of people think he's crazy sometimes, but you can stand back and you can appreciate the drive and ambition that comes with that. Some of the other things that he does, I probably disagree with, but you take a combination of those things. It's a very powerful construct to create a leadership style of your own, as opposed to choosing one particular leader.
Well, thank you so much, Megan. It's been wonderful talking to you, and all that's left is for me to send you blessings for you and your family, and to be safe.
Likewise, Gail, best to you and the family as well, and really good seeing you again.
Thank you so much. Take care. All the best.
Bye-bye.